everyone hear me okay?
Connected with Monica. Oh, hi.
Hello? Should
Oh,
I
you're
turn it this way?
sideways. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining.
Hi. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks so much for having
Hi.
me.
Yeah, so this is going to be recorded and it's also going to be posted so people can
Yeah.
watch it later too. But
Yeah.
so have you been in Japan since the
Yeah.
beginning of the pandemic?
I've been here since like end of March
Oh
actually.
my goodness.
It's the longest
Wow.
I've been back in Japan for a very long, like since 10 years, I guess. So
Oh my gosh. And how has life been for you?
it's been pretty I've been able to do concerts here. That's been
That's
very
great.
nice. Yeah, that's one thing I'm really thankful for. Um,
Yeah.
Overall, the situation is like fluctuating here. There have been like some scares and some like um, relaxed moments, but overall, I'm really thankful for what I've been able to do here and what I've been able to accomplish with everyone still back in the US despite us being far apart. So,
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Yeah, we've missed you and
yeah.
it's so strange, that we don't like I've been to campus twice since the pandemic started. I went there to record twice. And
I
like, the building is open and everything and then like it just feels like another day at school and yet like there's nobody there. So it's just this
Right.
like ghost building like just there and the recital hall is the same, but
I
yeah,
see.
it's just really crazy. But
Okay.
yeah, yeah. But anyway, so we're so happy that we're playing your piece. And
Thank
actually, it's such a coincidence because so I went to record with a violinist the other day
you.
for like Christmas concert in Connecticut,
Yeah.
and he's an old friend of mine. And he was like, "Oh, you're playing the same partiture arrangement as like I'm doing it for this concert. I'm just doing it for violin and piano." And he had your
Ooh.
score, and since we didn't have a cellist for that one, he had like arranged it so it's just for violin and piano. And I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
I know Manaka." And then he was like, "Oh, I didn't realize like
oh,
he had like
that's
bought your music online and everything." And like,
oh,
so I played the same part twice for
oh,
that recording as
interesting.
well. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, but it's such a beautiful arrangement. It's pretty hard. So we were like, I was stressed. I was like, oh my God, I have to really practice this. But it was
Yeah.
great. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, so, obviously we know that like you study violin and like, you're a great violinist and everything, but when did you, like, I saw that you composed your first piece in 2015 for like piano, left hand
Yeah.
solo, right? What made you decide to start composing?
So that was actually by accident because that was actually for an assignment I was taking at
Oh, I
NBC.
see.
And so I put it in my profile because it was like a accident that turned out well, I guess. So
Okay.
at New England Conservatory, I was trying to take composition like courses. Like they weren't exactly lessons, but they
Okay.
were theory classes, and your final assignment was to like submit a composition. And before growing up, I would have some moments, like even in like music class, I would be asked to compose or I would be asked to improvise, and I just kept blanking out every time I did that.
Okay.
So I could never compose, and I thought I was gonna stay that way for life. I was like, I'm not gonna be able to compose.
Oh,
But
wow.
at one point, I was like, actually, I want to try learning how to do it. So I remember taking microtonal composition, and then after that, I took pitch class at theory, and that
Okay.
was where my first composition emerged, sort of like the one that I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
actually, I want this performed. So that was it's called Soliloquy for the Left Hand,
Yeah.
and so because the class requirement was you had to write a piece and it had to include piano, and I was like, I
Oh,
cannot write.
I was
Line.
wondering why you wrote a piece for piano, but okay. Yeah.
And then I was like, I can't write for two lines. And then I was like, I could just write for left hand piano. So I just wrote for one
Oh,
voice.
wow. Okay, that's so cool. Yeah, and
So
then yeah, then you composed in a solo violin piece like 4 years later, right? A haiku
yeah.
violin. Okay.
Yeah. Haiku I performed in my recital. There's a version on my YouTube channel, and I also performed it at the composers concert last year, actually.
Okay, I remember like seeing it like in the program. I have to listen to it. I haven't heard it yet, but yeah,
Okay. Thank
that's
you.
great. Wow. So those are your own compositions. And then how
Yeah.
about the transcriptions? Like, were you doing them simultaneously?
So arrangements came before the composition process, and
Okay.
that was also kind of inspired by a course I took at NUC as well, actually,
Oh,
because we
wow.
were learning about composer-performer relationships. And at that time, we were learning about Franz Liszt. And that was when I first knew that he had a history of transcribing orchestral pieces for piano so that so people who couldn't get to see an orchestra concert could listen to it in the comfort of their own homes. And then at that time, the only solo violin arrangement that I knew of at that time was Schubert's Errol King transcribed for solo
Hmm.
violin.
Hmm.
And I thought about that. I was like, I could do this. Like, I can try doing this. And that was
Oh,
when I started arranging Queen of the Night for solo violin. That was the
oh,
first
wow.
arrangement I started with. But then I also touched on a lot of pieces from the Nutcracker because before starting violin, I started ballet. And I was really
Oh,
bad.
really?
I was
Oh,
really
wow.
bad at it, but
Oh,
ballet music stuck with me and it always
yeah.
kind of did, which is why I kept going back to the Nutcracker and doing solo arrangements.
Oh, that's
And
great. Yeah, because actually Nutcracker is like so like nice, especially for this season, obviously. But it's just they're such great pieces. But it's quite hard to find arrangement that's not just
mm-mm,
a piano solo or two pianos or four hands. You know,
yeah,
so it's really like great that you're making these arrangements. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
Because you have is it that you have another one? I forgot which one, but with like a violin solo and a string ensemble, right? From Nutcracker, am
um
I right?
yeah, that was a
Yeah.
very recent one. I did
Yeah.
that exactly a year ago, actually. I did
Okay.
it. It was for violin and string orchestra. It's the
Right,
the
right.
flower,
I watched that. Yeah, that's really nice too.
the
Yeah.
Vals de Fleurs. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So what are other things to like, yeah, transcribe and like, or what
mainly.
have plans for transcribe?
Well, mainly my output in the arrangements include selections from opera and ballet, and I think it's because that those two particular genres kind of stick with me. Opera I never done before, but ballet was something I grew up with, and I was more attached to the music than the dancing, but
Okay, oh, that's so
I
funny.
just did. But so a lot of selections from the Nutcracker, and for opera, it's a lot of selections. Not a lot, I guess it's like three from the Magic Flute, and there are other ballet selections. Like I have a trio for flute, violin, cello from Swan Lake, and
Okay, yeah.
yeah, most of them. Some
Okay.
of my non-opera ballet, like non-stage stuff, includes there's a violin piano arrangement of Jupiter from Holst that I
Oh,
did
wow.
2 years ago that I performed recently again in Japan, actually.
Okay, great. Yeah, and how do you approach it when it's like orchestral, operatic, like huge scores? Do you actually go from the score and like make your own voicing choices? What's your procedure?
I actually go from the score. I always try to look at the score, but I also try to go with what I hear and I want to replicate as much as possible.
Yeah.
Sometimes some of my arrangements, they come at a disadvantage to the technicalities of the violin. Like I will have to really um, I I don't. It's a weird way to say this, but I don't try to like sort of make it easy. Like I want to include as much voices, as much timbre in as much as possible.
Yeah, that's
But
great. Yeah.
it also kind of depends on like how a lot of how I like originally hear the pieces, but then I
Hmm.
always go by the score just to
Okay.
like yeah.
That's cool though. So, but do you play the piano actually?
I
As
do
well?
not. I
Oh, that's
really
amazing, actually, because so that, a lot of the time, some like arrangements are really awkward to play for like pianists because we get a lot of also like parts mixed up, right? Because we can like
yeah.
play like a lot of voices at once, and it's so awkward. But your voice, like, it's hard, but it's like very pianistically written. So I thought maybe
Oh.
you play the piano as
No, I
well.
do not. I
Oh,
really
wow.
don't. And I always, but I am always afraid. So I always ask pianists, like the first ones that
Yeah.
um have to look at the score. I was like, is this playable? Is this, can you do this? And
Yeah.
am I doing something outrageous? So,
No, no, it's
um,
because I know, obviously, because the whole thing is like harp. So, it's a very different, like, it might sound similar, but it's a very different way of playing, obviously, on the piano. But like, all this like arpeggiation and stuff like works really well. So I thought, oh, like, this is like really well done for piano as well. So I was like,
oh, that's
yeah,
cool. Thank
really
you.
happy that and it sounds so great. Like, the arrangement is like so great. I just like
Yeah,
love it. Yeah. So when
thank
I
you.
first found it like on YouTube, like you're playing it, I thought you were just playing the piece.
Yeah.
And then I was like reading, and I was like, oh my gosh, like Manaka arranged this. And it's like when I reached out to you, like, and then you had all this like published music, so I thought that's like amazing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
noticed that one of your composition teachers, I can never say his name, so I call him Chris from
Oh,
Latvia. Chris, did you study with him at Yale? Because
uh,
I worked with him together, and I know he's now a very successful composer, right?
Chris Stefanidis, you mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed out the. Yeah. So, I took a class with him. It was a music history
Uh
class, but
huh.
then, when I knew, I actually asked him, "Is it okay if we could have one or two lessons?" So, and that was when I was working on, I was working on a few things at the same time, but, this was the Terpsichore, I think. It was
Mhm.
the violin solo dance suite that I wrote, uh, 2 years ago, I guess. He helped me a lot with that, and also like a composition that hasn't come to light yet. But
Okay.
I had like a few lessons with him, and Chris is great. He is really great.
Yeah, he's quite a character, right? Like really
Yeah,
amazing, and like these very original ideas that like come out. Like it's just fascinating because I met him as a colleague. He was just teaching theory at a school I was
yeah,
teaching, so we just like talked one time, and then he started telling me
right.
all this stuff that was
Uh,
super interesting. But
yeah.
yeah, so I wanted to ask. So when it comes to your own composition,
Uh-huh.
like where the inspiration's coming from? So like, from like absolute like no idea to some like does it come to like an idea, or do you have like several ideas that are kind of coming up and then you decide to pick on one idea and then compose on, or how does that work? Like,
Well, it really depends on the piece, but first of all, my original output is kind of small, and whenever I start composing, it's always from an idea, but I have no idea how it's sounding at the
I
moment.
see.
So
Okay. Okay.
the very first piece I composed that was for left hand piano, is inspired by the to be or not to be soliloquy from Shakespeare's Hamlet, and actually, that was something I decided, and I also picked a pitch class set and went with that. And usually, when I write pieces, I think they usually come from one idea and one like musical idea or a certain order of notes that I play around with later. But usually, like when I come up with an idea, it's okay. I'm gonna write a piece about this, but I don't know what it sounds like in my head, and usually that takes
Okay.
a while for it to process. But I think the only time it was like really different was very recently I wrote a piece for the Composer Performer Project at Stony Brook,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a combination for trumpet, viola, and three violins. And this
Oh
was
wow.
this was an ensemble that I received. It's like, can you write a piece for that? I was like, oh wow! And at that time, I didn't even have a concept in my head. But then I was uh as I was writing it, I started to have like ideas and like what I should give this title or like what is this piece about. And that was like one of the very rare moments where the idea came later
I
than
see. I
music.
see. And how about like the length of the piece? Like, is that something also that comes with it in the process, or
Um
is it more
that
like you
also
decide like how long it's gonna be? Like,
usually not all of them actually. The
okay,
haiku I wanted it to be around 7 minutes because like seven and also the number five is kind of like an important
uh
number.
huh, uh huh, yeah,
So I wanted it to be like really roughly 7 minutes, and I think it's like borderline eight, but that and The trumpet piece, I said it's gonna be 5 minutes and probably no more than that. But most of the other pieces, I just go with how long it's going to like get me there to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, this is like so cool. So how do you balance your time between like violin and composition? Is that like two
Mm,
separate things or are like two like parallel things that you naturally do now? Like,
it feels very that was a really difficult process, and I feel like it's different for arranging and composition because
right?
arranging is feels closer, and usually, especially when it comes with solo violin arrangements, I try stuff out on my violin. A lot of the times, like sometimes I write down what's in my head and then I
Mm-hmm.
try it on later, so it's not like I'm playing and stuff. But composition feels very different because it's almost like I'm trying to write a story.
Okay,
It doesn't
yeah.
feel quite, I don't want to say it doesn't feel musical, but it feels like I'm using a different part of my brain than when I'm
Okay, interesting.
practicing
Yeah.
violin. So those are two, arrangement and practicing, like practicing violin is closer, but the composition process is very different. And I feel like I separate it a lot. And
I see.
sometimes I will go like almost how long, like around like 2 hours in front of a computer screen, just being like, I need to get this piece out, but I don't know what I want. I don't know how I want it to sound like, but
Right.
yeah.
Wow. But in for your future, do you see like yourself doing both like all your life? Like,
I would like to continue doing both.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's so great though, because you can also like arrange things or compose things for violin. So obviously,
Right.
like you get to perform them. So that's like, yeah, that's super cool. Do you have any plans for like next semester, Stony Brook, to like do more
Um,
compositions, or have you been commissioned to write anything?
no commissions at the moment. Of course, it all depends on the pandemic of how the next
Sure, yeah.
semester or next year will play out. But I am taking composition with Meg Shadell right now at
Mm-hmm.
Stony Brook, and it's been great. She helped me a lot with the composer performer project piece,
Oh, that's
and
great.
that was fantastic and
Yeah,
really, really wholesome.
yeah,
And I hope to continue doing that in the upcoming semester with other projects, hopefully. But regardless of the uncertainties ahead, I'm really thankful for all the new chances I've been able to like explore in these
yeah,
really weird times.
yeah,
And
yeah.
also, so like for you and Jason and Britt to actually play my arrangement, it's really special. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it's an honor to play. And Jason's right now putting all our parts together because Emira's in Turkey, so we've been doing a lot of remote recording, and it's
Mm,
hard because to put things together like this. But I think Jason's doing a really good job, so we're
that's
excited to
amazing.
like get the final version of it.
Yeah, I was listening to the short clip that you uploaded. I was just like, it's like
Yeah.
really happening. It's ugly crying right now, but
Oh
yeah.
yeah, no, it's such a beautiful arrangement. I'm so glad we are doing that because I ended up having to do two solo movements from Nutcracker because we couldn't find any arrangements. So
Mm,
and of course, like for our series, it makes more sense that more of us could participate. So we always look for some true arrangements, but it's hard for a lot of the repertoire we want to do
right.
or the theme we want to cover. And then when I came across that, I was like, guys, like Manaka wrote this. It's like so great. And yeah, no, I think it's like really exciting that we're doing this. So thank
Yeah,
you so much. And
yeah.
of course, we're going to be inviting you to the concert. Unfortunately, the concert isn't going to be in the middle of the night in Japan.
It,
So we're going to send you the link and you can like watch it later or something. Yeah, we
yeah,
tried to
thanks.
come up with a good time, but like, yeah, it's just like for American like time, like Asia is so difficult. So
Yeah,
I'm now gonna have problems too, like
yeah.
adjusting all this middle of the night event.
Having classes here. I've been taking
Oh
classes
my god.
remotely all fall, and a lot of it is waking up at 5:30 in the morning for a
Oh,
6 a.m. class or staying up until like around 2.
oh
It's
my
either one thing.
god. Wow. But would you say like this time, like this weird pandemic time, has like perhaps with something like composing, like helped you because there's like more time that you could like sort of focus quietly instead of like in normal life, like we run
Yeah.
around like from place to place, like doing gigs or lessons or whatever. And now, we have so much, wait, time to like sit and do you think that affects like your inspiration for composing?
Yeah, not just composing actually. I feel like also with practicing, it's helped me like focus a lot actually. And there's also of course there are like a lot of uncertainties and frustrations relating to this that also like come up, and it has affected emotionally and like a lot with the output and also with like me playing. But the fact that uh staying having to like staying at home and like only like focus on myself does there were a lot of positive things that did come out of that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely been a very strange time for like musicians, I think, because we can't publicly perform, which is such a major
Yeah.
part of our life. But yeah, we adopt like to this
Yeah.
situation too, and I think there has been a lot of positive things that has
Mhm.
come out of this time, like what you said, like we just can't like devote ourselves much more kind of
Yeah.
concentrated and calmly to like practice or
Hmm.
like we face ourselves like more kind of realistically instead of like running around and like ignoring or pretending not to see certain things that we don't want to
Yeah.
see. Yeah. So I think
Right.
for musicians, that's been a kind of a inspirational time as well. But
Yeah.
and we hope that you can like also play the violin in our series in the near future.
Yeah.
So we'll be in touch because we can do this remotely. So
Yeah.
we
Definitely.
are planning like in the future that we can do this as a real concert series like in
Okay.
person. But for the
Yeah.
moment, like that's our thing that we wanted to connect people and to be able to do this wherever we are. So yeah,
Yeah.
we really hope that you can like come and play with us.
Yeah,
That'd be
definitely. Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, and yeah, our concert is on December 19th, which is exactly a week from today,
Oh wow.
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not quite in America yet, I guess. In the US, it's
Yeah.
still like Friday night. This is so confusing, but yeah, Friday
Yeah.
night. But exactly a week from today. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be in
Oh,
touch.
Jason,
But
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jason is there too. Oh, that's
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks
So
so much.
yeah, sure, and hope I will see you maybe in Japan, but we'll be in touch. Well, where
Yeah,
are you actually? Are you in Tokyo? No, right?
I'm in Hyogo Prefecture.
You're yeah. Oh, you're with yeah. You're right. I remember you play with Kaiko-san. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I saw that she premiered, right? Your first composition, right? Is
Yeah,
that right?
she was she officially played it in my recital. And
Oh, that's so fun. Yeah, she's amazing. That's so great.
yeah.
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 Yeah, thank you, Manaka. And yeah, thank you everyone who joined us. And yes, this will be yeah, recorded and shown on YouTube and all other social media. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Our
Thank you.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All other social media. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Our
Thank you.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.